Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot. We'll be right back with Dan's episode for this week, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for their support of the podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the 95% of the players and parents who really love your program, and it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to connect to your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to thank SnapRaise for their support. Go to snapraise.com and find out about their fundraising platform. Better fundraising makes better programs, and snapraise.com allows you to depart from the fundraising headaches from the past. Okay. Choosing the best fundraiser for you and your group is crucial. And the SnapRaise digital fundraising difference is easy and effective. It's safe and secure, and you can track participation and progress. Go to snapraise.com and check out their testimonials and see the thousands and thousands of dollars that they've helped schools and athletic teams raise over the years. Change your fundraising game plan and start a fundraiser that works for you. Go to snapraise.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams use Huddle to help their teams play better using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They've got online tools, they have smart cameras, they've always had analytics, but there's so much more. Huddle's also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high schools and colleges, and even the pros use Huddle to help their athletes perform at the highest level. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to gipper.com and find out how athletic directors, schools, and coaches are creating world-class marketing content for their school's social media channels. You can do it in seconds on any device and without needing any design experience. As I like to say, it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to gipper.com and find out how to start creating world-class marketing content. That's gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms is the industry leader in registration, but they're more than that. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and they provide schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility, and they have reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that come with athletics. Final Forms can also help with team communication and attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time for you to talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started on the Final Forms team. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown Ticketing helps thousands of schools and organizations across the country, seamlessly provide convenient digital ticketing options for their communities, their families, and their fans. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And if you want to find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program, go to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. Their indoor scoring tables and video boards not only raise money for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. They're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They've got a variety of interactive touchscreen consoles and an entire library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. You can also email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com for more information. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Let them help you bring your school's legacy to life. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot. It's episode number 11 in this series, and our guest every week is Dan Talbot, Certified Master Athletic Administrator and the District Athletic Director for the Polk County School District in Polk County, Florida. Dan, welcome back. Always a pleasure. What do you got for us this week?
Always a pleasure to be here. Man, this is one thing that kind of always comes as we know it, and it's going to be cliche to kind of talk about it, but it's so important to not underestimate two words, and that's communication and assumption. I mean, do not assume people know the answer or that you think they'll know the answer. And, communication is one of those words that, I mean, is it the root of all problems or not? Especially like as an athletic director, I mean, you get a call from a parent, they haven't spoken to the coach yet. You try to encourage that beforehand. I know when I was a school-based athletic director, anytime I meet with a parent and a coach, I'm going to have the student athlete in the room as well. And that was just one of the rules I've had, because you sit there a lot of time trying to guess and say, well, she said this, and I want to hear it straight from the student athlete's mouth or the parent's mouth or the coach's mouth, and take all the all that stuff out of the way. But when you always, I guess the best rule of practice is to over communicate. Every Monday in my district, I send out Monday reminders to all my athletic directors, and I have what's called new reminders, which is in new. They're in red, they're bolded, and then I have constant reminders that basically just constantly reminds them of certain policies and procedures in our districts, because you can never assume that they know. Because the one thing I've learned about these younger generations coming up is they believe truly in their heart, and they're convicted that, well, I didn't know, is an adequate excuse when there's a rule book out there. I mean, every summer I read the new FHA rule book. It just came out, so now I'm processing all the new changes so I understand them. I mean, that's your responsibility as an athletic director, is to know the rules and put your student athletes in the best spot. But you gotta over communicate every idea, even the simplest ones, the ones that frustrate you the most, just because you got to understand, if you're a seasoned vet athletic director and you've got new athletic directors, or you got new coaches, or whatever it may be, you have to over communicate, repeat yourself, because you just can't assume that they'll know it. You can't assume what we think is common sense that someone else is going to know and understand and be able to process. So make sure you over communicate, never assume, and always cover your bases on that stuff, because communication can ruin parent and coach relationships, parent or coach and student athlete relationships. It can ruin marriages. It can ruin your relationship with your administration, because we assume that they knew something or didn't know something, or what we think is common sense in the athletic world. It's like when you go to the NIAAA conference or your local state conference, and you take those 500 level courses, and as an athletic director, you realize how much you're really responsible for on a day in and day out basis. I know the average person at the high school thinks, we just show up and we roll the balls out and the game just happens, but there's much more behind the scenes going on. So communicate, and please, please, please do not assume. Those will get you in trouble.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. The author of that quote, it's something like the greatest myth about communication is that it's actually occurring. And again, there's so many things that we do on a daily basis that we can fall into that trap of, autopilot and just think, well, everybody knows this. When in fact, you've got that new coach. We were just talking about hiring young coaches, or, a parent that's brand new to your program and you do things just a little bit differently. You mentioned that hot list that you send out. Very cool idea. What's another quick communication tip or tool that you can share with our listeners, whether it's to coaches or maybe faculty or even parents, something that you can pass on?
Really, just, whatever your best way of communication is, whether it's social media, whether it's one of those platforms that you use to connect people, I send out emails and I know people don't read them. This year I'm a huge Washington Commanders fan, I guess. Washington Redskins fan. And I buried in my communication, I said, the first person that calls me and tells me the score of the Washington Giants football game, I'm going to give them an extra $1,000 in their athletic budget. And you'd be amazed at how many people didn't call. And so it was a quick way for me to find out, who's reading them and who's not. Or the best was when I addressed something in those Monday morning reminders and they call 3 hours later and asked a question that I answered in the reminders. And I always ask them, and the one way I try to communicate too is when they ask me a rule, I say it's on page 28 or page 47 or page 65 or whatever it is. Don't just, because, it just goes back to, if you tell them the rule, they tell it, they apply it, and they forget it. But when they got to look it up on their own, they actually learn the rules and do that. But I'm a big email fan, communication that way. But there's a million ways to communicate. But like you said, that the myth is, are we actually doing it? And a lot of us aren't because we assume. But I just, like I said, every Monday morning, and it's interesting too, and they're called Monday morning reminders. And I used to send them out on Sunday evenings. And it was funny, when I sent them out on Sunday evenings, one of my athletic directors said, well, vacation's over. We got Dan's email. And so I felt bad because I know it's one of those deals where we're all sitting there on Sunday, like after Christmas break or spring break or Thanksgiving break. And it's that last day before we're supposed to go back. And I think people don't understand how dreadful that is. It's just like, I can't believe teachers report in 2 weeks. And it's one of those things where you sit around that last day of vacation and, it's like, I can't believe we got to work tomorrow. So I quit sending them out on Sunday nights just because one athletic director said, he goes, vacation's over. The emails have started. So I wait till first thing Monday morning because I wanted to be there, first thing in the morning when they got their emails. But now I realize it's okay if it goes out at 7 or 7:30 or 8. It doesn't matter as long as they're getting information and kind of just, give them that time. But I'm a big email. And unfortunately, in our world, as athletic directors, we got to have that documentation because, when things happen there and someone says, I don't know, then our society automatically wants to go to the person in charge of them and say, well, did they know? So document, but, over communicate, never assume.
Yeah, you think about the Sunday emails. Our coaches, we told our coaches that, you need to send out that weekly email, just some bullet points to the parents involved in your program, home game on Tuesday, whatever it was. And typically they would send it out Sunday evening, and our school system was able to track that. And we probably, on a good day, we might get 40% of them read. But long story short, we told them to start setting the timer option so that it went out at 6 a.m. Monday morning. And it was that first thing that they saw when they opened up their email on Monday. And our read rate, open rate, I don't know if they read it, but at least they opened it, jumped up like 80%. So, it's just timing is so crucial to that.
Yeah, it is. So
I can understand how your parents felt. And you think that the other thing I was going to mention was the hidden message. We had some good sponsors at my last school, and they would give us free food coupons and things like that. So I would hide those same types of messages in a coach's group coach's email, about halfway down. First 3 people to respond, are going to get and they love these free coupons. So it wasn't everyone, but
you got to keep them on their toes to see if they're actually reading it. So
all right. Great ideas. Thanks for sharing. One more time. I know you do this every week, but we might have some new listeners. If one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, or just connect and add you to their network, what's the best way to get a hold of Dan Talbot?
Best way is to give me a call or text me on my cell phone. It's 863-661-0647. Again, 863-661-0647. And like I said, I hope to hear from some people and connect and learn, because obviously you're in athletic administration just like I am, and hope to learn something from you as well.
Absolutely. Dan Talbot, Certified Master Athletic Administrator and the County Athletic Director for Polk County Schools in Polk County, Florida. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time. For our listeners, we do this every week, every Thursday, team building tips. We appreciate you listening. Remember the YouTube channel for the Educational AD podcast. All the Zoom recordings have been uploaded. As always, thanks for listening today. We'll see you next week on team building tips and just about every day on the Educational AD podcast. Once again, we want to thank all of our sponsors for supporting team building tips and the Educational AD podcast. Sideline Interactive, you heard me say many times, we were one of the first schools in Florida to have a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table. Tremendously versatile tool. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or send them an email at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. Also want to thank Final Forms. Final Forms is the official registration platform for the FIAAA State Conference. They also work with schools and organizations from across the country. They can help your stakeholders with forms for parents on policies and physicals. They can help with team communication. They can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. Go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. We also want to say thanks to snapraise.com. There's a lot of fundraising platforms out there, but our coaches use snapraise.com and raise thousands and thousands of dollars. You can go to their website, snapraise.com, and see the testimonials from other schools as well. It's simple, it's secure, and you can track performance so easily. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Once again, the FIAAA has a Wall of Fame video console for their organization's Hall of Fame, and you can do it for your school's Hall of Fame. You can do it for your school records. It's another tremendously versatile tool. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com to find out more about their great products. We also want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle, and as an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Our coaches just loved the cameras, the easy access to programming it, the analytics, everything. And the Huddle support team was just fantastic. Go to huddle.com to find out more information about how you can become a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. We use surveys with our teachers, our coaches, our kids, our administrators, and it was just fantastic. The data that you can compile from these surveys. Almost all the time it comes back positive. But if you have that one parent that's sort of a squeaky wheel, it helps identify them and gives you a chance to talk to them and see what their concerns are. And if there is an issue that you need to address, the survey information allows you to do that. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I never got to use Hometown Ticketing because I retired just as they were coming into vogue, but I've talked to hundreds of athletic directors who swear by them. Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts to learn more about it. Once again, we appreciate you listening to the Educational AD podcast. Come back again next Thursday for more team building tips, and just about every day on the Educational AD podcast.